KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama. How y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Before we get started, let me know if I sound okay. Give me a 1 if I sound okay, 2 if not. Hard for me to tell today because, I got hearing issues. I got all kind of stuff, but it is what it is. All right. Thank you, fam. Thank you. Appreciate it. So I also want to give a shout out to Quest 9 Africa, Brother Karras, Brother Gart, and the whole team. Covenant Awakenings. They're doing what we're supposed to do, connecting over there in Burkina Faso with Ibrahim Traore and them. Shout out. And check them out. Go over there to Quest to Unite Africa, fam. So with me, I see so many things. And I guess for me, because, I read all the time. I research all the time. I study all the time. I'm consistently in the process of studying the word and everything, right? History and news and you name it. And I get flabbergasted sometimes. There's probably a better word, but I get flabbergasted. The other thing that I get is, what's another word? There's a better word here, but I get amazed. That's probably it. I get amazed at the lack of common sense. As I've said before, common sense isn't common, which it really helps me understand why so many people are deceived and going to be deceived in the last days. It boggles the mind. It does. And I'm going to tell you this. Unless you have a personal relationship with Yahshua, the odds of you making out this thing soul intact is going to be very slim. It's going to be difficult. We are dealing with supernatural things. And not only are we dealing with supernatural things, we're also dealing with technology, which can be sort of classified maybe as supernatural things because it's outside of the normal, right? It's outside of the natural. And sometimes we don't know where supernatural and technology cross, where they meet. Acts 2:19-21 says, I will show you wonders in heavens above and signs on the earth below. Blood and fire, billows of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and glorious day of Yahuwah. And everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be saved. Now, you best know Yahuwah. I'm telling you, you're not going to make it if you don't. If you got a form of godliness, if you're a church member but not living that word, the odds of you making it is slim. And I'm not just talking about surviving physically, I'm talking about spiritually. Some people think they're so smart that they've got it all figured out. They know what's reality and all this stuff. And we're going to talk about this stuff, but it's crazy. But before that, let's talk about what's happening in the world, because we're going to go into what's happening physically in the world. Then we're going to go into supernatural, spiritual stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm just a human, right? And maybe I just see things that's not there. But I have to admit, I got a pretty good track record. And to be honest with you, I knew these things were coming. And I knew it was going to happen. And, you know, it's frustrating seeing it happen and people still going about their business like it was 10 years ago. But let's talk about some current events.
Hold on to your butts, guys. This little blip that we received last night is just a precursor to what's about to happen this weekend. Listen up. So, as of last night, according to spaceweather.com, we are in a severe G4 geomagnetic storm watch. This is because not one, not two, not three, but four, and possibly even five X-class solar flares are headed directly to Earth. What does this mean? Basically, in a nutshell, when you have sunspots like this that are happening on the surface of the sun, they will explode. And when they do that, they release a coronal mass ejection. And that's basically energy that's coming directly towards Earth. Now, most of the time, these flares will happen on the surface, not facing the Earth. But all four of these, and possibly even this fifth, were directed at Earth. So, what does that mean for us? On a physical level, we might experience electronic disruptions. Your electronics might not work. There might be power outages, things like that. On a spiritual level, we're going to be experiencing a lot more of the same things that we've been experiencing for, over 2 years now, only heightened, much heavier than it was before. This could be all the things that we call the ascension symptom signs, where you are feeling aches and pains in your body, maybe nausea, maybe you can't sleep. You might even just feel a lot of chaos happening around you. The energy just might feel really thick. Now, the really great news about this is that on a spiritual level, when these things happen, and at this extent, a lot of that energy is coming in to awaken the masses. So I know that we are in the middle of this grand awakening, but whatever wasn't being worked through is going to be worked through. This can bring about heightened senses of revelation, things coming to mind that you never thought about before, different perspective shifts in the way that you view things or people or the world or whatever. This all is possible this weekend for people that you might not assume would ever be a part of an awakening. They're getting another chance. They did not update about that fifth one yet, but I am looking at that. We are going to keep a close eye on that. So if this is something you want to learn more about or keep updated with, go ahead and hit the follow button.
All right. So, two things you should notice from that video. One is the geomagnetic storm, right? Now, normally for me, I'd, ignore that stuff. That stuff don't mean anything to me, right? It don't, you know, I'm a different type of dude. And, when it comes to prophecies and prophets and stuff, I don't listen to them unless, I hear something directly from the Most High myself. I don't roll that way. That's just my nature. But even stuff like that, I don't really listen to a lot of times. But here's the thing. The other thing that you would notice from that video, she talked about an awakening. Now, it's not the awakening that we're in. It's not the awakening of the Hebrew Israelite to who we are and Yeshua being our Elohim, our God, our King, right? That we are the chosen. It's not that awakening. It's another spiritual awakening. They have their own awakening, but they realize that something's happening, right? Now, tie what she said with the Geomagnetic storm. We're going to go somewhere with this, but let's look at this.
Major breaking news this evening. NOAA has confirmed that the United States is experiencing a level 5 out of 5 geomagnetic storm right now. The weather agency labeled this a, quote, extreme storm, the first of its kind since October 2003. Previously, the agency predicted a storm at level 4 out of 5. Now it has upgraded it to 5 out of 5. And the storm reached these conditions at around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, as I said before, the impacts of the storm could be anything from impacting GPS to radio to other high frequencies, really across the country. And people as far south as Alabama this evening could potentially see the aurora borealis. And probably one of the biggest potential impacts is the possibility of a power grid failure in various areas. Throughout history, we have seen power grid failures in Canada and elsewhere during these geomagnetic storms, and the Earth is experiencing the strongest possible geomagnetic storm right now. As always, I'm going to provide you updates.
So we have the geomagnetic storm, right? And we have this happening. The aurora borealis alert, right? People are seeing it everywhere. UK, Florida, Carolina, different parts of the world. Usually you'll see it in your particular area, right? Your hemisphere.
Gaze on the heavens for a potentially spectacular natural phenomenon, contingent upon your whereabouts and weather circumstances.
Look at that streak across the sky, y'all. 2:48 in the morning. What the f?
Unusually heightened solar flare activity suggests that the aurora borealis, commonly known as the northern lights, may grace the sky with its vivid spectrum of colors, including shades of green, purple, and red.
Just as what we saw with the eclipse, people have a lack of understanding. As I read in the beginning, Acts 2:19, I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below. I'm just saying. Maybe it means nothing, but I'm telling you, I sense it. I don't know if you sense it. Something in my spirit says supernatural wonders and judgment and death. And they can't say they weren't warned. Northern Lights on full display across U.S., Europe on Friday. The Northern Lights provided a rare sight for residents across the U.S. and around the world Friday night with a powerful solar storm fueling a spectacle seen as far south as Florida Keys. Strong solar flares the sun has been emitting since Wednesday morning were responsible for Northern Lights being visible across a wide swath of North America and Europe. 7 coronal mass ejections began entering the Earth's outer atmosphere on Friday, said the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The agency issued a rare severe G4 magnetic storm watch this week for the first time in 19 years, but announced Friday evening that extreme conditions reached Earth at 6:54 p.m. Now, what's interesting to me is that we have these signs in the heavens and on earth, distress of nations, right? The seas and the waves warring with perplexity, right? Matthew chapter 24. Whole bunch of stuff happening that the Bible prophesied. Now, apparently, Celeste a year ago talked about this happening. Like I say, I don't follow prophets and prophetesses, but, sometimes look like she might be on the ball. I don't know. That ain't my area. But I can see the signs. I can see that it is about to rain. You can see when the heavens are changing and rain is coming in, a storm is coming in. How come you cannot see the signs of the times? All things remain the same since the fathers fell asleep. Well, guess what? They're not the same, and they have not remained the same. Things are different. And there's a spiritual connection to all of this as well. There are things happening that is just straight up freaking weird. And some things you might connect to just regular life. And I don't connect it to just regular life because things are weird. And when I say they're weird, I mean by the fact that the things that the Bible has prophesied is coming to pass. And very few see it. And like I told you, the scripture says very few gonna make it. And I get concerned. I told you about the grape out of a cluster of grapes. I told you about a plant from a forest, a grape forest. Of the amount of people that's gonna get saved, it concerns me. But while I see the things in the heavens and I see on earth the stress of nations, I see the world war, and I see all these things, and I see things that people take as natural events. But as they stated, you haven't seen this aurora borealis seen around like this in 19 years. But while all this happens, the blind leads the blind, and they both fall into the pit. The falling away is happening on a massive scale, mind you. I'm like, the stuff I'm gonna talk about today ain't even half of it. It's not even half. I'm telling you, it's not even half. And you know what? You got a lot of Negroes who are involved in a lot of this deception.
Called disappear. Like, cause that's a hell of a fight. Cause, cause I'm God. And anyone who disagree, I'm the God of me. And you can't tell me who I am. I can't tell y'all. I could tell y'all. It's y'all job to listen. I'm the God of me. I don't know if I'm in heaven already and shit. I got number one from that. Paul, I might be on like a fourth dimension version of the lifestyle. I don't know. Like I said, I must have died in this accident. This must be heaven. I feel like, there's people, tech guys and shit like Shervin or Elon. Elon always says, whatever would be the funniest outcome is what should happen. He's just thinking like, what is the most insane version of something? And that's the version that should happen. My boy Shervin said, God or alien or universal, whatever happens, it feels like victory favors the brave.
So Kanye has gotten to the point where he's just blatantly saying he's God. And then he says that, well, he's the God of himself. Yahweh is God, my brother. Yahweh is the God of you.
His name is Yahuwah, but some say Yahweh. Understand that, we all knew that Kanye was crazy, right? We didn't told you that from day one. But there's a growing deception that is going even at what we would call the non-elite level, right? Coming down to the grassroots. Notice that in the last days, many shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. Now, I'm going to play this video, and that's another one I'm going to play. But if you weak in the faith, don't listen to this video. Some of y'all weak in the faith. So I told you, some people don't have common sense. Some people can't reason well. Maybe it's an education issue. Maybe it's a spiritual issue. I don't know. But people ask questions that aren't really questions. People ask questions sometimes that are just to set up for a straw man that's easily torn down. Never really getting into the discussion about the particulars of what the issues that they have, right? They don't get into the particulars of the issues. They just quote stuff, and then for the gullible attach themselves. The gullible depart from the faith. The gullible reject the Messiah. The gullible reject the crucifixion. The gullible reject the resurrection. The gullible think it's all about them keeping the commandments with no faith, without a price being paid, not knowing the scriptures that they talk about. Now, some of these people want to say we don't know the scriptures. Oh, yes, we do. Some of us. Some of them think they know the scriptures, but they don't. And some of them run into things that lead them away from the faith. Why? Because they're not one of us. The scripture states they never would have left if they were of us. Some left so that it will be manifest that all who say they're with us are not with us. This is going to be a lonely road, family, because everybody ain't going to make it. I pray all the time that I make it. I pray all the time that my family make it. And I pray all the time that the Israelites make it. But guess what? There's a lot of Israelites. They're on Satan's side.
I used to be like you too. I was a pastor's kid for 28 years. I was also a missionary for 5 years, and I preached the word of God. I taught Sunday school. I was the choir director, sunshine band leader, and youth leader. I was the finance director. I did it all. Until one day I actually sat down and I studied outside of the Bible. I studied the history of Egypt. I studied the history of Babylon, studied the history of Assyria. I read the Babylonian Chronicles. I read Nabonidus' Chronicles. I read the Misha Stele and the Israel Stele. I searched the papyri of Anastasia and looked at Egypt's records of Amenhotep, described during the late Bronze Age. I started reading archaeology documents and scholarly articles and biblical critics, and I still do to this day. I read a book called The Invention of the White Race, and I learned in that book that when Africans first came to North America, they were not Christian. At that moment, I was like, holy shit. I learned that the book of Proverbs is just a copy of the instructions of Amenhotep. Also, the story of Job is just a copy of the righteous servant, which is a Babylonian folktale. I know Christians going to say correlation don't bring about causation. But it's pretty convincing to me considering how old their works are compared to the Jewish Bible. I learned that when Yahweh said that he's not a man that he should lie, that he actually lied. I learned that he's not beneath jumping into the bodies of other prophets and causing them to lie just to get his Israelites back. And I'm not just talking about when he sent the lying spirit. It's actually his tests and his laws on how to tell whether a prophet is a liar or not. And he said that if anybody served him and other gods and went to the prophet of Yahweh to ask a question of Yahweh, he would hop in that prophet and he would act like the other god and deceive the person who was asking the question. And then he would kill the prophet and the person asking the question. Just because he's God. But he didn't say he didn't lie. And he lied. I learned that he helped Samson unalive 30 people so Samson could pay a bet. So Samson could steal some clothes and some shoes and pay a bet. 30 people that wasn't even at Samson's wedding. I ain't like that. When I was a missionary, I just taught the things that we have already been told, the same narratives over and over and over again. But when I decided to find this God and I decided to find his name, because they said that, once you get close to God, if you seek, you find, and then God will show you his name. I ain't like it. I didn't like what I saw. It didn't fit right with me. It did not sit well within my soul. So I used to be like you. And you say that the creator is real. I don't deny it. Because to me, he's human, or at least the Satan that all of y'all are afraid of. A narcissistic God who acts like a man who just wants the world for himself and everything in it.
Hold on one sec, fam. So she act like she's smart. Now, I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe that she read those things with no understanding. I believe that she sat under some moray, or she sat under some teacher, or she sat under some 5%er or something like that, where she learned about these other books. And they always come to a conclusion. Oh, this was already written in the Almana letters. Oh, this was already written here. Oh, blah, 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 right? Without context. It's so silly. And I'm not going to go through all the stuff she talked about. That's not what this show about. But for an example, the Almana letters. You know, they talk about the history of the supposedly the Hebrew or Aparu people. Some classify the Aparu people or Habaru people to being Hebrews, which there's no validation for that at all. And they were supposedly mercenaries as well, which there's no record of the Israelites being mercenaries, right? It just so happened as a time frame where during the time that the Almana letters were written, Hebrews were in existence, but, Hebrews existed before there were Israelites, right? And one thing she don't understand is that, none of these scholars agree that the Aparu are Hebrews and stuff like that. But then, when we go into the other stuff she talked about, there's other issues there that you can tell she's been indoctrinated. She didn't sit under a 5%er or somebody, and she probably think we're Egyptian. But then she has the nerve to say that the God that we worship is probably the Satan, but yet she don't believe the Bible and she don't believe the God of the Bible, but she believes Satan of the Bible. So then she tries to equate the Messiah. Not the Messiah, but God himself, because I'm sure she don't even believe in Yeshua no more. She tries to equate God of the Bible, that's what they call him. We call him Yahuwah, with being Satan. Now, she also got the story mixed up, right? When the divine council met, and the Most High was talking to these angels, right? The sons of God, we call them angels. And one of them said, look, I'll be a lying spirit in his mouth, blah, 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 right? She said it was God himself. Well, it wasn't God himself. Not only that, God uses evil to judge people and nations. God will use evil to judge people and nations. Well, if he's a good God, why does he do that? If he's a good God, why did he create evil? If he's a good God, why does Satan exist? If he's a good guy, why he did this? Why he allowed? Look, the problem is you're not God. You don't know the end from the beginning. You don't understand his ways. The Bible tells you that. The Most High says, I create good, I create evil, but yet you don't understand that. Why? Because he's the creator of everything. Nothing exists in this world, in this universe, unless God created it, period, with a T. Nothing exists in this world unless God created it, period, with a T. But how many times we see in the word, Yeshua says, it was not my will for this to happen, but it did happen. Well, he's God, right? So he's God. So why did it happen? It's called free will. Some things happen because of free will. God allows some things to happen because you're being tried. You're being tested to see what you're made of, whether gold, silver, or dirt. or brass or iron. See, the facade of intellectualism, because she says she read all this stuff, don't mean a hill of beans to me. Because I find, I'm telling you, and you could take it the way you want, I find most people not to be intellectually sharp who make these types of statements. They are so sure in the things that they've read, and they don't read it in context, and they don't read it in terms of what the scholars said, and because they're reading books, right? And they've been translated. When was it written? Who was it written to? What time frame? Are they in agreement? Are they in disagreement? Stuff like that, right? There's always a bunch of context behind a lot of these books and things. Same thing with the Book of the Dead. People talk about that too. But there's context around all of that. But they think they're so smart. And I'm going to show you another person who thinks she is so smart. And she has a pretty good following on YouTube.
The problem with you Christians is that you don't read your own scriptures. Hence why you guys are constantly coming on my page, nagging and complaining about the fact that I call myself a God. Because if you guys do read your own scriptures, you would have known that even in your scriptures, you are called a God. All of you are called gods. It is said in there in Psalm, I've forgotten exactly where. I have said, ye are God. So because you don't read the scriptures for yourselves, y'all wait for your pastors and priests to choose where they want to read for you people and read only that part and give you guys the understanding that they want you to have or set scriptures. That's why you see somebody on the internet, a random person you don't know, and you be having issue with the fact that the person called themselves a God. If you don't want to be a God, that's up to you. I'm a God. Deal with it. And saying I'm a God is not a claim. It's me stating a fact. Get it right, darling. And it's even more crazy because you have an issue with someone calling themselves a God when the book that you subscribe to call you a God. It's crazy. Ignorance really is bliss, isn't it? And just to be clear, me knowing that I am a God and calling myself a God isn't an idea or a concept I got from your scriptures, because hell, I have been calling myself a God since way before I even found out that scripture exists. But the point is, read your book so you people can stop coming on the internet contradicting yourselves and you people's holy book. Hell, ask the Holy Spirit. People like to ask him for everything. Ask him to set a reminder for people so he can be reminding people to read the goddamn book. Non-believers, but they know more about the scriptures down now. You are not embarrassed yet.
She's so arrogant, so high and mighty, thinks she's intellectually smart. And she said Christians don't know their Bible. Now, maybe Christians don't, because I don't consider myself a Christian. I consider myself a follower of Yeshua. You could call me a follower of the way. But I know way more scripture than she does. And she said the Christians don't know their word because the Bible says ye are gods. Well, guess what? Read on just a few more sentences. And it says ye are the sons of God or the children of God. Well, what does that mean? See, they don't ask that question. See, they stop right there. I have said ye are gods. Oh my goodness. Stop. The ignorance, the intellectual inferiority, the lack of spiritual discernment, with the arrogance to show people that she's smarter than you because she knows something you don't, that your own Bible says you're gods. But if you go ahead and you compare that with what Yeshua says, and he says it's already written that the Bible says that you are gods, you are the sons of God. Well, what does the sons of God mean? The sons of God are those who are born again of the Spirit and become what? Children of God. That's the context. But this is part of the falling away. This is the stupidity. This is the ones who look at the surface level of things. And I keep telling y'all, is more than the surface level. The more I study the scriptures, you know what I notice? The Most High ain't playing with none of us. The Most High says, seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be open. The Most High says we should study to show ourselves approved, a workman that need not be ashamed. But guess what? Most people don't do it. But see, y'all say don't pay her no mind. But see, she has a lot of influence. She's not the only one. I told you there's other people. There's this other guy, right? This Israelite, young guy. This dude got a whole cult following him. Went over to Latin America and had a whole bunch of people following him. Sleeping around with the young girls and stuff. He even had a little white girl come and follow him. There's another guy who hang around the camps and he think he's Christ. He think he's the Messiah. I could go on and on and on and on to the break of dawn. These people crazy. But it's worse. I told you after 2019, all hell broke loose. It got worse. And so then we have the whole issue of the debates and the diss tracks and everything between Drake and Kendrick. Now, most of us already knew Drake was sold out. Most of us knew Drake was a sold out to the Luciferic agenda. He's a fake-ish person and all that, or half-ish. Half Israelite, half-ish. But I've come to the conclusion the whole diss thing, the whole beef that Kendrick and Drake have is fake. It's to cause division and confusion. And then, I like Kendrick. Kendrick was one of my favorite rappers back in the early 2000s. He seemed like one of the guys you grew up with in the neighborhood, one of the guys you might have gone to church with, one of the guys who was probably sincere, still got a little hood in him, but I think he sold out as well. And just like he's working, with Taylor Swift, we know she's working with the enemy. So Kendrick doing stuff with her. And once again, our people falling for the distraction, being manipulated. And you have to ask yourself the question, Kendrick, what's up with the crown of thorns? I'm just saying, you think you God too? You just like Kanye? I'm a God. You think you the savior? Is that why you got the crown of thorns on your head? Kendrick, why did you make name your Pulitzer Prize winning album Damn? Damn mean damnation, right, Kendrick? Why did you name your album Damn? And while he named the album Damn, he just happens to tell you, I'm an Israelite. Don't call me black no more. Matthew 24. I'm going to go 5 to 8. For many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. You will hear wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. I can sort of see why I feel like I'm attacked spiritually and physically and stuff, and with the illnesses and the sicknesses and all these things, because I'm on the front lines. And it really bothers me. It bothers me when anyone is deceived, but it really bothers me when I see so many Israelites deceived. It makes me want to go in my corner, shut my door, lock it, stay by myself, and just me and the Most High. Cut everything else off. Because it's dangerous outside. There's a lot of wickedness outside. There's a lot of deceivers outside. There's a lot of evil spirits outside. There's a lot of demons attacking people outside. There's a lot of lies outside. I think I'll stay inside and lock the door. Or just go to church, you go. It's safe there.
So it's videos going around of evil women or evil people being in the church. Excuse me, y'all. I've been running around all day doing interviews, buying couches for my lounge. But anyway, I have realized that there are so many evil people in the church, which is why I stopped going recently. I keep making videos about this and I keep deleting it because I be feeling bad, but it really is the truth. Like, the church is just not what it used to be. Or maybe it has always been this way and I just never knew it. And since I'm like older, I'm 24, so my frontal lobe is like finally closing, I can finally see how wicked it is in there. All right, so I probably told you guys already, but I'm gonna tell you again. Recently, me and my mom decided to go to a new church, and the part that makes it worse is that they don't think that they're wrong, like, or they think that they're above correction. But that's another. All right, we found out that our pastor was a P3DO, and we found out on the internet. We found out on the internet because they was like searching up his name, and so I was like, So when they addressed him, he was like, only God can judge me. People make mistakes. God has forgiven me for it. And at that moment, I stopped going because at this point, you being at your big age and you messing with a 16-year-old is never okay, especially leading a church. So then a few weeks later, we found out that he was selling in the church and that the piano guy was also selling outside of the church. Yes, outside of the church. And we found out because on the news, it was a drug bust. Look, I already said it. It was a bust. And I was like, and so when they went and confront him, like everybody confront him, they kept saying only God can judge us. Who are you to judge me? And I'm just like, I gotta get out of here. So then, okay, boom. Later on, I'm gonna tell this story today. To the day I drop. I don't care. Go to another church. I remember I showed up and it was like everybody was outside. And I was like, why is everybody outside? Come to find, like the pastor's wife was like crying and she was like praying and speaking in tongues. And I'm like, what is going on? Right. So somebody else was like, oh, they found out that sister such and such is pregnant. And I was like, okay. And they was like, oh no, she's pregnant by pastor such and such. And so when they was like confront her, she on the phone, only God can judge this union. The baby was sent from God. I'm like, yo, they really, people like would do the most wicked stuff and then follow it up with a Bible quote. Lie to you not. And then when you say, you probably shouldn't be doing this with kids, only God can judge me. Who are you? Like, I just can't, like, they use God as a scapegoat to be above being a decent human being. This is why I'm a big advocate for people can be atheists and have better morals, be a better person than somebody who sits in the church every single Sunday. 100%. And I hate to say it, but you could look, speed this story up, but I say this all the time. I would trust the atheist before I trust a Christian in 2024. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
I can't disagree with her. And I'm not saying all Christians are that way. But see, she's having her awakening. She's having her awakening. She's starting to see what's happening in the churches. I was an ordained minister, and I was in the church for a long time. I didn't know none of this stuff. I was naive. I was right there with the leadership. I ain't know none of this. Then later on, I started finding out Pastor so-and-so sleeping with so-and-so. Minister so-and-so sleeping with so-and-so. He's married. It ain't nothing new. Had a particular pastor in back hometown. He had multiple baby mamas. But the people kept going back to the church. As I stated, I think she's having her wake up, her awakening. She's not gossiping. She's waking up. That there's deception everywhere, half-truths everywhere, lies everywhere. That's the other thing I've learned. Be careful. There's lies everywhere. Half-truths everywhere. Just to give you an example, and I'm not saying it's the case for everybody. You know, I was plant-based for 5 or a little over 5 years. You know, working on my health. And I'm not saying plant-based is bad, you know, it's good for detox and all that stuff. But some people want you to be vegan, and some people make the, you know, case and try to use the scriptures, you know, to show that, you know, every seed-bearing fruit shall be yours and blah, blah, blah. So I was vegan for a while, and, you know, I noticed I wasn't feeling as strong. And I noticed that my fingernails would break off and not grow as long as they used to, being on plant-based. And then I noticed that I couldn't sleep no more. And I'm staying up till like 6 in the morning, then I'll go to sleep. And I'm like, what the heck going on here? Isn't this supposed to be better? Right? I say it's good for detox. But then I hear about carnivore. Now, I'm not saying I'm a carnivore. But I hear people on carnivore and people like healing all kind of diseases and sicknesses, eating nothing but meat. Fixing their metabolism dysfunctions and all these things, right? Fixing their anxieties and their eczema and their dermatitis, and all on carnivore. So, you know, I say, you know, I can't do the carnivore thing because, you know, the carnivore thing is just too much meat for me, you know. So I'll do the keto, meat and veggies. So I get off the plant-based diet and I'm eating my meat again. And I'm telling you, I enjoy it. And I feel stronger. My fingernails are growing real long again. My wife wished she had fingernails that grow like mine, because they were breaking off halfway as a plant-based. And before you tell me you got to supplement, well, I shouldn't have to supplement, but I did. I had to take my B12. I had to take my omega-3s. I had to take all this stuff on plant-based because you can't get everything from the plants, even though they tell you you can. You can't get that tryptophan and those amino acids from the plants. So I've come to the conclusion, and I'm not saying for you, I'm saying for me, that meat is good. Because guess what? I could not, my brother will tell you, I could not sleep all the way through the night. Guess what? Since I'm eating meat, guess what? I got my 8 hours and 9 hours back. I'm sleeping all through the night again. I'm sleeping and I'm rested when I get up. That's right, Sister E. It's a balance between veggies and meat. I agree. But I do believe that them carbs are dangerous. That bread is dangerous. I wouldn't say in and of themselves, but the stuff we got in America is dangerous. But I have to say, I was sold a bill of goods. Because I didn't do better on plant-based. My nails got weaker. My sleep got bad. My mental state got worse. That's the other thing I want to tell you, that my mental state is better now since I'm on meat. Why is that? And I'm not recommending this for everybody. I'm telling you what works for me. As one of my sisters said, there's a book called Eat by Your Blood Type. Maybe that's the key. I don't know. But for me, I feel a whole lot better on meat. My brother's blood pressure has gone down tremendously on meat. I'm just saying, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying for me, that plant-based thing wasn't the whole truth. They tell you partial truths and partial lies. Partial truths and partial lies. And we got to figure out what works. At least I could say I've been vegan. I've tested it out. It don't work for me. I'm not telling you what to do. It don't work for me. But anyway, that's to say that we all realize something is wrong in this world. We all are starting to realize that something strange is happening. We all are starting to realize we have to be careful. We all have to realize that we have to evaluate things ourselves. We all have to realize that, you know what, maybe you need to go plant-based to see if it works for you or not. I did that. We all have to realize that sometimes we have to do research ourselves and see whether or not these things be so. I had to realize that everything that we read, everything that people say they're trying to help you and help you to get well, they might have good intentions, but it might be faulty research. See, I'm not the only one. But understand that when we look at this world and the things in it and the information in it, we have to test it. We have to test it. Now, this particular video I'm going to show, we talked about this before, but I'm going somewhere with it because, in my opinion, and it's mine, we have been infiltrated. We have been infiltrated. That's my opinion. I think we're dealing with demons. I think we're dealing with devils. I think we have been invaded. You may not see them, but we can look at the people and we can look at the evil and we can look at the wickedness and we can look at the unrighteousness and we can look at the people who are, as they say, pedos and other things. Something's wrong. And some of these people claim to be Christians, and some of these people claim to be Israelites, and some of these people claim to be awakened, and some of these people claim to be enlightened, and they're on the devil's side.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with him or not. I'm not going.
So I know some of y'all got an issue with the cussing, deal with it. We mature adults, but understand this, that she saw something. And in one of my other videos, I showed that there was a particular guy who saw something else on a plane. And there's something wrong in this world. Just like I showed you the brother, right? In the other videos, in one of my videos, he saw some person looking up at the sky with black eyes, right? I remember 20, 30 years ago, people were talking about the black-eyed children. I didn't believe it. I'm telling you, something's wrong. And I believe they done told us this in movies, TV shows, and books and everything.
It's about your family.
My family. You and my family.
Have you been seeing strange things? Things that you can't explain? Oh, I know it. This is all happening so much faster than I thought it would. When it happened to me, it knocked me on my ass. I couldn't move for a week.
Just got a hit on a missing person. University student went out jogging this morning and never came back. You know what kind of run shoes she was wearing?
Pink Nikes.
We've got 23 known predators within 5 square miles of the crime scene. None of them rise to the kind of violence we saw out there this morning.
The misfortune of our family is already passing to you.
All right, so that was from the TV series called Grimm. It was a great TV series. I liked it, right? Now, as we saw in the previous video, the woman was screaming that he's not real. Something's wrong with him. Now, remember in one of the previous videos I did, we talked about the PMO syndrome, or this new disease that has just come upon the world, after 2019, right? What happened after 2019? All hell broke loose, but hey, hashtag ain't no 400-year prophecy.
A couple of years ago, but now we're trying to do a lot more of it. And I'm hoping it can sort of become maybe the main focus of the research in my lab. I don't know if that's actually going to be possible or not, just in terms of being able to find people with this condition. But it's a condition I'm really fascinated by. And it's a term that's a real mouthful to say. So it's prosopometamorphopsia. And so from here on out, I'll refer to it as PMO. What we're talking about in PMO, how can I advance this? Is people see faces as distorted. We're using sort of a two different types of, we talk about two different types of PMO. One full face PMO, in which people see distortions to the entire face when they look at it. And then there's also hemi-PMO, in which distortions are to one side or the other of the face, so that the vertical midline appears to play an important role or be an important sort of distinction within face representation. So for hemi-PMO on the right, you can see the features. It was only the features on the right side of this face, whereas with PMO on the left, it's features on the left side. In some cases, it's not even sort of the whole half of the face. It's even just particular features that are distorted. So it might be the left eye only, or it might be the right side of the mouth. And so there's a lot of different ways that these distortions can manifest themselves. Just to give you a feel for the sorts of distortions that you can see, that we first worked with a woman, say maybe starting around 2011, who had full face PMO. And we published a paper on her in 2014. And so here are just a few quotes. So we showed her this face and she said, "Wow, large nose, prominent eyebrows. The eyebrows are coming towards me. And strangely, his right eye is getting larger, like more. Yeah, both brows are coming towards me and his right eye is getting larger." We showed him this guy here. She says his whole lower face and chin are almost ballooning, and his left eye is dropping, still dropping down. It's really weird. It's like I can tell it's not moving because I can look at it and see that, but still it's moving down his face. And then we asked, do you get anything with ears? She said, ears don't really bother me. I guess they're not part of the face. She's a psychologist. Says, is that the same guy I saw before but turned to the side? Yeah, sideways doesn't really bother me. And we've collected some data recently from patient AS here, showing that she doesn't get distortions once faces get to a certain viewpoint. And then this slide, and some of you might recognize this face here. This is Peter C. from about 25 years ago when he was a graduate student. She says, yes, his left eye is doing something really weird. It's hard to, it's one of those I can't describe what it's doing. I mean, his other eye is playing along. I can't read the rest of this because the controls are here. Let me see if I can hide these. You can probably read it just fine, but hide floating control. There we go. I mean, his other eye is playing along. So it's like one eye, you know, it's defying physics, and his upper lip is going out and down, kind of distending. And so this gives you a feel for the sorts of distortions that people with PMO have. Here's hemi-PMO, and these are drawings that were made by people who have hemi-PMO. Some of these I was looking at last night. It's a little hard to know exactly which side of the face is distorted, but for example, this face here on the side, you can see that the nose is angled out here to the right. The eye is stretched out here to the side of the face, same with the mouth. It seems that there's the most common sort of distortion that you get are features kind of drooping down. Here we see a face. This face is distorted. This face on this side is distorted. And I'll show you some more data from people with hemi-PMO here later. Now, if you look, when we looked in the literature, there were about 25 cases of hemi-PMO that have been reported. Now, interestingly, the majority of them have a lesion to the splenium. So that's the posterior corpus callosum. And so a lot of these cases result from transmission problems. You can see over here, here's the lesion in this particular case here. So it's a problem with transferring information from one hemisphere to the other. In most cases of hemi-PMO, the distortions are limited to faces. I can think of a case that Grusser and Landis studied where the person had distortions to one half of the face, and then also they had them to the corresponding hand, but interestingly not to the other hand. In a lot of these cases, though, there hasn't been a lot of non-faces have not been presented to the people. So I think we should be cautious sometimes as to how face-specific these distortions are.
So we have these distortions, and people are seeing these things, and apparently they must have this PMO, this prosopometamorphosia. But guess what? Just us, because they have this defect in the brain, supposedly. They're seeing these distortions in the face and in the hand and in the body. But guess what? They don't see it in animals. They never claim to see dogs with PMO, with distorted, let's say with distorted faces. They never talk about seeing animals with distorted faces. Maybe, just maybe, this is spiritual. Maybe these are people who are demonically possessed. And maybe, as some people have said, the veil has been lifted. Because we even see in the scriptures that demons will be released from the abyss. We do see that in the scriptures, right? Demons are going to be released from the abyss, but they got to give us a scientific explanation for the increase of people with this disease, or so-called disease. Vatican preparing guidelines for apparitions, other supernatural phenomena. Apparitions are appearances of or communication with divine beings such as saints, angels, of Christ himself. So now the Vatican is preparing the world for apparitions. But all of a sudden, we got a manifestation of PMO. The Vatican is preparing to release a document giving guidance on how to discern supernatural phenomena. The Holy See Press Office announced the upcoming document will be published May 17 with a live stream press conference featuring Prefect for the Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith, Cardinal Victor Manuel Fernandez. Fernandez has previously said that the dicastery is in the process of finalizing a new text with clear guidelines and norms for the discernment of apparitions and other phenomena according to the National Catholic Register. Why now? Why now? Is it because people are seeing PMO, what they call PMO? Something's happening in this world. Now, eat the meat, spit out the bones, but you know, there's strange stuff happening. I'm gonna share this with you. You know, it may be something and it may not.
Eclipse and demons. Oh my, these are three of my favorite topics to talk about. Now, there are people that will say and still say to this day that nothing happened on April 8th, 2024. But these people were looking for destruction. They were looking for chaos, fire, and brimstone. But we that know that April 8th was the ritual. And people still to this day continue to see very bizarre sightings after the April 8th total eclipse. Whether it's two moons or a massive blob over in Antarctica, or these flying creatures seen in the skies, people are seeing them and they are recording them. And that is exactly what I want to talk about in this video, these flying creatures that people keep seeing in the skies. Now, the first time these creatures were seen in the skies was on April 8th, 2024 in Texas, the day of the solar eclipse.
Back up. This is so cool. What's that?
Bruh.
Look, there's something flying through the air. Oh shit! What was that? What the was that?
Yo, what the whatever this was moving very fast, and it was not seen exiting the clouds. Now, people do have multiple theories as to what this could be, ranging from a low-flying plane, a helicopter, to a jet. Some people have taken a step further by stating this could be a UFO or even a dragon. But no matter what this was, something very similar to this was seen in Iraq 2 days later on April 10th. Something similar to these two sightings, the sighting in Texas and the sighting in Iraq, was also seen in Turkey as well, and 5 other locations. Now, it doesn't move as fast, but it still appears to be very similar, especially how it moves. So what exactly are we looking at here when it comes to these, well, flying creatures? Now, we do have to remember we do live in a world of AI. Anything and everything can easily be faked. But on the other hand, we do have CERN, we have Fermilab admitting to having things cross over from other dimensions, from higher dimensions. They use the words ghosts, demons, specters, gods. But then they use the word particle to cover it all up, to make it seem like it's just science. These organizations whose founders were disciples of Aleister Crowley, such as NASA. NASA was firing 3 rockets at the solar eclipse on April 8th, oddly called a PEP, or the devil, under Project Serpent. It's no coincidence that Aleister Crowley found the veil to be very thin in April, April 8th, 9th, and the 10th, he spoke to a demon named Awas, who he credits for writing the Book of Law. These people in these organizations like CERN, NASA, Fermilab, they are no different than the occultists, the ritualists of the past, where the past they used dark sex magic, and now they infuse these magics with their technology. When CERN, when Fermilab, and the others state they are looking for dark matter, dark energy, these are the entities they're looking for. This is the energy they're looking for. CERN's statue of Shiva, the destroyer god, where you see these weirdos on video who are supposed to be scientists are doing these ritualistic dances, you can see Shiva is encased in a portal. The same portal that looks like the front of CERN's Large Hadron Collider. It's not a coincidence. These same portals that can be found in Hollywood movies like Stargate. These portals that all look the same in every sci-fi movie is not somebody's imagination. They are given scripts by the powers that be that know that these exist from CERN. Almost every big Hollywood movie has a script given to them by the three-letter agency. The same exact month we have these organizations looking for dark matter, dark energy, is the exact same month that people are recording these dark things flying in the sky at high speeds. And again, we do live in a world of AI, computers, clout. So even if you do record something very bizarre and odd on your phone, people will still say that you faked it. It's all fake, and that's the scary part. While they're telling you it's all AI and made up, at the exact same time, they're telling you they're opening other dimensions and things are crossing over. Now we are getting reports of people seeing portals in the sky in which they are stating are UFOs, but they are saying it's a spiral light. People across the United States, South America, and Europe are all reporting seeing these spiraling lights in the skies, and they all are reporting the exact same thing. Now, I did go ahead and make a video about these portals yesterday, but I had to delete the video. But I will include that video in this video at the end of this video.
All right, so we have PMO occurring, right? We have these beings or whatever they are flying in the sky, or Project Bluebeam. Nobody knows, but it's part of the end times deception. And also, as he was mentioning, you know, you all know, at least many of you probably know, that during the time of the eclipse, NASA launched some rockets called APEP. And APEP is short for Apophis. He's the god of chaos of the Egyptians. Now, even though there's no direct correlation to Apollyon in the scriptures, right? Because that's Greek, but in the Hebrew, his name is Apollyon, but in the Greek, his name is Apollo, right? He's the god of the abyss, or the angel of the abyss, right? Lowercase g. Apollyon or Apollo is the angel of the abyss, destruction, perdition. Abaddon, yeah, that's it. Same as Abaddon in the Hebrew. And remember that in the very beginning that CERN stated they would open a portal and check to see if something comes through. I've said in the shows in the past that, even before all of this, that it appears that what they were trying to do with CERN is to create a jailbreak from the abyss. And the scripture says that there are angels who are locked in the abyss, and that a key is given to the angel of the abyss. What? To open it up and allow people to get out. Could that key be CERN? Now, with all of this, we have the growth of the New World Order, the encompassing, totalitarian, demonic system of the Antichrist being built. And the taking away of your freedoms, and the taking away of your wealth, and any ability to earn money, and which is why they had to pass the laws concerning Uber and DoorDash and stuff. They're building complexes, houses, not for sale, but for rent, because you're not going to own anything. That's what Klaus Schwab stated. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, in Canada, they're a little further along on a totalitarian path, but it's coming here as well.
Did you guys hear that the Canadian Armed Forces are doing a door-to-door wellness check exercise called Trillium Ventures? And they are going door-to-door in smaller communities in Northern Ontario, including the local police that are helping them. And they're basically asking, how are you doing? And are you prepared in case of a giant emergency? They are also giving out brochures of everything that you should have in case of an emergency and to be ready, because emergency preparedness starts with you. This article from True North Wire is stating that the Canadian Armed Forces will be part of an extreme heat scenario exercise in communities throughout the Huron County, Ontario. The exercise, called Trillium Venture, will take place from May 3rd to 5th. And according to the OPP, the Ontario Police Department press release, the purpose of the exercise is to enhance an interoperability with the governmental departments as they work together to respond to a simulated extreme heat scenario. My first question is what is this extreme heat scenario? Are you talking temperatures, or are we talking about maybe an attack or a simulated attack? Because we all know the World Economic Forum likes to predict everything that's going to happen with a lot of accuracy for the future. But Daisy Media went up there and interviewed individual Canadian military force personnel. And one said that this is an annual exercise that they've done almost every year. However, when I looked into it, there was nothing online about a wellness door-to-door check being done by the police and the Canadian Armed Forces. And I even talked to an ex-military personnel who said he's never heard of it either. So now I'm wondering, what is going on? Could the Canadian government be preparing us or maybe training us to see military personnel in our small towns as a normal thing, for them to come door to door to ask us how we're doing, in case Justin Trudeau goes full dictatorship on us again, like he did in 2020. But let me just show you this video caught by Daisy Media. And then at the end of it, let me know what you think, or if you've ever seen this in any of your towns, small towns, specifically in the north, of the military coming to your door and asking you how you're doing.
Hi, guys. Good, how are you? You guys are part of the operation? Yeah, you're doing wellness checks? What's that? Oh, I know. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That's all that they said that you guys are doing? Really? Okay. All right. We got some more coming now. Hi, guys. How are you? Good. Good. You guys part of the wellness check operation? Yeah? What, you mind telling us kind of what it is? Are you going door to door? Or? Yeah, so it's just the annual thing that we do. Okay. Oh, really? Oh, it's annual? Because I never knew it was annual. Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is the first time I ever thought it was annual. Yeah, well, we've never been here. Oh, okay. Yeah, we go all over the place. Oh. Is the operation any sort of data collection that you're looking for at all? Or is this just knock on the door, how's it going? We're training. That's pretty much it, yeah. That's basically it. Oh, okay. And you're the reservist unit out of London, right? Oh, you guys came from Windsor. Oh, you came from Windsor. Okay, cool. All right. All right, you guys, we're kind of doing a story ourselves, so we'll kind of be around. Yeah. All right. Okay, thanks. You too.
So, in my opinion, something is happening at all levels: political, spiritual or religious, financial, you name it. And it's not all, in my opinion, human. Now, I'm trying to make this case that I guess the best description, at least the best description that came to my mind, and it seems to fit, is that there's a disturbance in the Force from Star Wars, right? With the falling away from the faith, right? With the supernatural, spiritual things, people seeing things, the Vatican and their whole apparitions thing, there's something wrong. There's a disturbance in the Force. And I'm using that not as a religious or a spiritual term, just to show that there's something wrong. Because I know some of you people going to say, look, you go by using that stuff. But all at the same time, you know, we have the awakening. And at the time of the biggest threat to the kingdom of Satan is the kingdom of Yah. And the Most High says, in the days of these 10 shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom that shall never end, right? One thing I never really took the time to think about is the threat of that awakening to Satan. And how vicious he would be, but sneaky as well, in terms of attacking the true Israelites. But there is still an awakening, and some of our people in the churches are waking up, right? Because just as I showed you with the sister who says there's wicked people in the church. And now I think people are starting to see a difference. And people are starting to wake up. And they're starting to see that, yes, the laws are not done away with. People are starting to see, hey, the church teaches that the laws are done away with, but yet the church is full of wickedness. The church teaches the law is done away with, and they don't do anything that the Bible says do. But the Israelites, and I'm not saying we all right and legit, and you know every single one of us is legit, but there's a pursuit for most of us to obedience, but also to live and walk by faith. So let's listen to this sister, because I like what she said.
Hey, this is your girl Agape Servant. Okay, so I'm getting ready to mess some people up. All the research that I've been doing, I have found out so much about Christianity. If you knew all the things that the missionaries, those reverends, and all of those who went to Africa, especially what Leopold II did in the Congo to the Congolese people, 10 million murdered. And in Belgium, they have statues of him, that he was such a hero, but now we're finding out that he really wasn't a hero. And then the letter that he wrote to the missionaries and the reverends, that's enough to make you not even want to, as a melanated person, consider Christianity. The next thing to know that the Catholic Church, the Jesuits, the Protestants, most of our Christian religions were built off the back of slavery. Go research, go do your research. I'm not saying we're not supposed to believe in what you say, Jesus Christ, but you need to go do your history from the beginning of the book to the end of the book and come out of religion. Remember, I always say, get out of a religionship and get into a relationship. And then I found a book called, or better yet, a book that talks about a ship called Jesus and another ship called Amazing Grace that actually happened before 1619. So I'm saying to you guys, if you really do your research about the church, and the church owned slaves, and no one even though they may not have agreed, but they never spoke up and defended and did away with it. And did you know that the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, and most of those churches set up reparations for us for what they did to us? The Catholic Church is built off of money they made off of selling slaves. Bet you didn't know that. So I suggest that if you are still claiming Christianity, you need to do your research on how much they have broken our spirits, how much they've taken from us, and then go back to the Old Testament and understand you are a Hebrew Israelite. And at first I thought Jew. No, you got to understand that there are two women. Read your Revelation. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that, but I'm just going to say to you is that the Israelis, or Israel, the nation, that continent over there, ran by that man. I'm not going to say no names because then they'll be, but if I say this, look up what a Zionist is and Zionism. And then go back through Biden's messages. And Biden said, I wish I was a Zionist, but his dad told him, yes, you are a Zionist. So he said, I am a Zionist. So do your research, people. Melanated people, do your research. Because when you really do your research, you're going to find out that Christianity, especially when you read Leopold II's letter that he wrote to those missionaries, you're going to find out that there was actually, he spoke a spirit over Congo and most of the Black people or melanated people. So I just want to bring that to your attention. It sickens me to know that Christianity warped us. Now, what's that got to do with anything? The Father, Yahuwah, wants a relationship back with his people. True people. Chosen people. And those chosen people were the people from the beginning. Okay, think about it. Because some people get on here and it's like, oh, wow, well, Christian. Okay. But if I was you, really go and research what that religion did to us. It's a religion. So let's now start to think of this book as a history book of who we are, why Yeshua HaMashiach came. He came to reconnect us to Yahuwah the Father. And we've got this doctrine of Trinity. And what I really figured out is that God is the head, Yahuwah is the head, and you have a left hand, a left arm, and a right arm. Yeshua being one arm and the Ruach being the other. Okay, guys. When you think of it that way, both hands don't work at the same time, but the head always instructs your hands. I talk with my hands, but it has to be my mind that orchestrates my hand to move. If you cut off the arm, I don't care how much your mind think, your hand's not going to move. But take a look at it. That's all I say. I'm not trying to change nobody. Again, I don't claim to be no prophet, prophetess, and none of that. But what I am saying is, the more I study, the more I dig into this little rabbit hole, I find out so much. And we have suffered for everything.
So there's the awakening. At the same time, there's destruction. There's the truth, while there's also the lies. There's the deception and there's the wickedness, while there's the righteousness and those pursuing the obedience of the law, not for salvation. Because Christians are quick to say, we're not under the law, not understanding what under the law means. But you can't talk to them. Some of them. But understand this, that there's a change afoot, and we are different, right? We are different. The Bible says We are a peculiar people. We don't walk like they walk. They're not like us.
Europeans, colonizers, the white power structure understands ownership very differently than African people, especially African people before they landed on our continent. In the same way, there is a big discrepancy on how we understand community, how we understand humanity, how we understand respect, how we understand gender. There is a big discrepancy on how we understand ownership that affects you and I very deeply, even to this day. Ownership, from where we're from, has more to do about responsibility to land, responsibility to people, responsibility to your responsibilities. I own a land around me because I cultivate the land, because I pray to the land, because I care for the land. Now, in America, in the colonizer's language, in the consciousness of the Western world, ownership means this is mine and it's nobody else's. Therefore, you're not thinking about responsibility. You're not thinking about caring for something. You're not thinking about how sustainable something is. What you're thinking about is how long can I keep this thing from everybody else? And that right there has fueled so much destruction in this world because the white power structure believes that they have no responsibility to tend or care for the things that they use and manipulate. Now, hear me out when I say this. What is the one asset that all of us are trying to attain outside of a car and a house? A husband or a wife. Now, these same sentiments of ownership have carried on to your understanding of marriage and your understanding of love in general. A lot of us love through European ownership. A lot of us love by understanding that this person is ours and nobody else's. A lot of us don't think about being of service to the people that we love. A lot of us don't think about sustaining and wanting the best for the people that we love. A lot of us are not looking for a partner. A lot of us are not looking for a human being. What we're looking for is an asset. And the way that we acquire that asset is by putting a ring on somebody's finger or saying yes at the altar. These colonizers got you thinking that you could own people. I don't care what contract you sign. I don't care what ring is on your finger. You will never own another human being on this planet ever. In this life, if you want to experience love, if you want to experience wonder, if you want to experience abundance, then reconfigure your existing conception of ownership. Because the trick of the American dream is getting you to believe that you need to possess other people and more things to find fulfillment. Little do you know that as long as you care and are cared for, you have everything you need. Peace out. Now, I want to say one more thing, because far too often is marriage expressed to us as premium love, trust plus friendship, mega friendship. I'll leave you with this. The term platonic love comes from Plato, and Plato said that platonic love is one of the most genuine and one of the most abundant forms of love that there is. True friendship is not based on what somebody has. It's not based on what somebody looks like. True friendship is truly based off of a connection and wanting the best for one another. I say all that to say that the love that a lot of y'all are looking for in a relationship, in a marriage, one, you already have, or two, you are looking right past it in your friendships.
So a lot of what he was talking about is really, in the idea or the concept in Africa of the Ubuntu, right? I am because you are, right? And so we're supposed to look after one another, take care of one another, and especially if you're in a matrimony relationship, that the husband's supposed to provide for the wife and the family and take care of them, and the wife supports the husband. And it's supposed to be like that. Today, the world is confused, and the world don't believe in leadership, and the world don't believe in roles. But as I stated, we're different. And somebody asked me, well, Yacoba, why don't you teach on marriage or matrimony? I say because the Most High hasn't, told me to do it yet. And personally, I don't believe most of you are ready for what I have to say about matrimony and marriage and relationships. I don't think you're ready for it because you're too consumed with Eurocentric ideas of relationships and selfishness and all of that stuff, right? And not understanding and not willing to understand the biblical roles of marriage. So I won't be doing it anytime soon, unless the Most High says so. But understand that we are different. And we're supposed to be different. And if you look like the world, then guess what? You are the world. If you don't look different, when they look at you, you don't look different, you don't dress different, you're not tatted up, you're not wearing the same clothes, eyelashes, BBLs, all this stuff. If you don't look different, you ain't different. So I'm gonna end this, and one thing I find interesting is, and this is a little short little clip, that there's so many videos that we've done showing who we are and traditions and all that stuff. And I ran across this video. I had to like wipe out the music because it would have got a copyright hit, but I liked it. And it's short, but it shows who the people of the book is, right? And who are the fake, who are the Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. I'm just saying. Who the people? That's all I got to say. Who the people? Proven time and time again, stole our traditions, our heritage, our culture, everything we still do today. They just happen to call some of that voodoo, I'm not saying some of the stuff didn't go on awry, because that's why we're in captivity, but who the people? So just be on alert and know that these are difficult times, and y'all don't understand how dangerous it is. I don't think y'all understand that we are in the most dangerous time on the history of this planet. At least probably since the time of Noah. They're trying to destroy 80% of the world population, and they're doing it through many mechanisms. I'm telling you, this world is run by devils. It is run by demons. And people are seeing things not because of some psychological, physical brain defect. And the Catholic Church preparing you for apparitions. Why? Because they didn't open the abyss, in my opinion. So if you want to support this ministry, you can through Cash App, $TOTW 7101. You can become a patron as well. You can give us a like and share. You can go to giftgivingforall.com and purchase some mugs and t-shirts. I'm of the opinion there's not much time left. I don't know how much time is left, but there's not much time left. And by the grace of Yahuwah, I hope we get out of here unscathed. But the scripture says, if the righteous scarcely be saved, which shall be the end of those who obey not the gospel. So the righteous being saved have to be a physical salvation, because the only way you're righteous is by faith in Yeshua and being obedient to his word. So therefore, this salvation must be a physical salvation. So if the righteous scarcely are kept alive, which should be the end of those who don't obey the scriptures. This is why I fight so hard for truth, because the deception is so strong. And there's a lot of people who look like us who are devils. And some of y'all don't vet nothing they say. You go right along, blind leading the blind. But don't listen to me. And I want to say this before I end it, and I hope the person don't take this the wrong way. But somebody was conned out of some money. And I don't know what they wanted us to say about it. But one thing is that, why do you contact me after you made your decision? Why do you contact me and ask my opinion or whatever and ask me to do something after you made your decision and lost your money? Should you not have contacted me beforehand and asked me, hey, Yacoba, hey, man, to tell you, what's your opinion on this? We would have told you don't do it. We would have told you can't trust those guys. We are living in the last days, and just because people look like you and say they got the same agenda and goals as you don't mean it's true. You can't just be giving people your money. You need to vet them. And if you're going to go to the continent, you need to go over there and handle business directly and make sure their paperwork is correct and not fraudulent. See, I had to get to the point where I can't help everybody, even though I want to help everybody, I can't. Sometimes you got to make your own decisions and deal with the consequences. But I'm going to tell you this. If you don't hear me and Minister tell you talking about it, that means we not for it. If you don't hear us really promoting nothing, that means we probably not for it. You need to ask us, hey, what you think? Are you for it or are you not? That's if you want my opinion. But if you're going to come after the fact that after you then, got taken, then I can't help you. Ain't nothing I could do for you. I told y'all from the very beginning, I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm going to vet you first. I'm going to check everything you say. I'm going to fly down there if I got to and land on the continent and see all your paperwork. I'm going to go down there. I'm going to talk to the governors and the government and whoever's in charge. I'm going to make sure everything is up in the board before I give you a penny. That's how you got to be. I'm a skeptic by nature. I'm not easily swindled. Can't say I can't be swindled, but I'm not easily swindled. Because I'm going to vet you. I check everything, probably obsessive with it. That's all I got to say, fam. Love y'all. Try to help y'all, Next time in the future, look, y'all reach out to me, ask my opinion on it. I'll give you my honest opinion and stuff like that. And, but after the fact, I can't help you. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is ending. Love you with the love of the Messiah. If you want to support us, become a tail patron, Cash App, $TOTW 7101, and so forth. And share this video, give it a like, and support the Dry Bones Project. And also, go over there to Quest Unite Africa and check out what they're doing over there, because I like the fact that, Brother Karras and them on the ground and meeting with Ibrahim and trying to do something, you know. But always, always vet everything and everybody and all of us, right? One thing for sure, I could tell you that, you know, when it comes to this walk, you got to be careful. You got to vet everything, even me. I keep telling y'all that. Vet even me. I do my best to tell you the truth and deliver, you know, the word as I see it and what the Most High reveals to me. But I'm trying to help y'all. Some of y'all don't want to listen because some of y'all think I'm arrogant and some of y'all don't like me, but I'm just trying to help y'all. So love y'all. Peace out.